Today's date is June 3rd, 2021. When I first heard this news, it was yesterday afternoon. I had a very busy day. I had a doctor's appointment. I watched the movie, A Quiet Place Part 2. Very good movie. I was on a date. When I found this news out. Now, I wasn't actually on my phone during it, checking or anything. But, we had to use the bathroom. Check my phone. My notifications were blowing up. And that's when I found out about 6 releases from WWE today. Before this podcast starts off, I would like to bring something to your attention. Since March of this year, I have done 3. Today is going to make 3 different podcasts talking about WWE releasing talent. And if you want a head count of how many people that we know of that WWE has released as of today, since March, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 people since March. Fuck this fucking company. Yo, what is going on, guys? It is your boy Tyler Mask, aka Suplex. That's SOOPLEX on TikTok and SOOPLEXX on Twitch.tv, aka Tyler Coon Williams, aka the one who lived. And guys, welcome back to the 50th edition of the Chill Spill podcast. I'm not even going to do the whole part because I'm actually a bit angry right now. I'm pretty much, I can't even fucking speak right now. That's how fucking frustrated I am. I was not planning to do an early edition. I was planning to do something big for the 50th edition of the Chill Spill podcast. I didn't know what that big thing was going to be, but I was planning to do something very big. And I guess this is kind of big because this is big news, but it's not positive news. I didn't want to come on here and do an early episode talking about releases again. This is the 3rd fucking episode I've done in 2 months where I'm talking about a WWE talent being released. Multiple. This isn't just wrestlers, backstage people. There's a lot of releases going on. And we're hearing the possibility of, they could be selling to another company. Whatever the case may be, people are losing their jobs. And in many of these cases, a lot of these people don't deserve it. They're very talented people. They have places on any roster in the world. But you ask why? Why these people? Why now? And we all know and expect that at least once a year we get these releases. It's not completely added out that this was going to happen to some people. You can't keep everybody. But it's just mind-boggling and disgusting to know that in 2 months, they've released 17 wrestlers. 17. And yesterday, they released 6. 6 of the 17. So I wanted to dedicate episode 50 to talk about these wrestlers. So this may be a very short episode, and next week will be 51. But yesterday, I believe yesterday morning, it was 11 o'clock. As I said earlier in the podcast, I was on a date when I found this news out. I literally was, going to the bathroom, pulled out my phone, let's see what's going on, and then I'm going to get back to the table. I checked my phone, and I found out that they released Santana Garrett, Lana, Ruby Riott, Buddy Murphy, Aleister Black, and Braun Strowman. And I said, what the fuck? I had to check I checked Son Ross Sapp. I checked Brian Alvarez because I thought I saw something. I thought it was fake. I'm like, nah, someone's trolling. Then when I checked Son Ross Sapp, I'm like, well, he couldn't be trolling. That's an authentic guy. So I'm like, okay, let me check these other, I'm checking other sites. I'm trying to do it as fast as I can because I'm not about to, be in the bathroom for 3-5 minutes. But I'm like, what the fuck? What is this? But I said, you know what? We gonna go back to what we were doing. finish that. And then once I'm done, I'm going to go watch this movie. I'm going to come back home and I'm going to see what the hell is going on. So about 5-6 hours later, I get back home. And that's when I really understand. Aleister Black has put out a statement. Braun Strowman put out a statement. That's when I actually understand what the hell is going on. And it's hard to be frustrated and actually mad when you kind of, it's even sadder to say, you kind of expect this shit. I kind of expected this from WWE. That is sad to say out loud. I expected this company to do something like this, knowing their track record, knowing they don't give a flying fuck about their talent. These people are just numbers on a score sheet, on a spreadsheet. That's what these people are to them. They don't fucking care. They may care about the top guys that are making their money, but they don't care about everybody else. They're insignificant. They're there to do their jobs, and when they're done doing their jobs and they don't need you anymore, bye. Sayonara. Oh, and also, you're not wrestling for another 30 days. So I figured I would take the time to individually go over these wrestlers, my experience watching them in their careers, and where I think they may go. I am not going to sit here for the next 40 minutes and just shit on WWE, because that's very easy to do. I could shit on them for a lot of different things. But I'm going to take the rest of the time to talk about these wrestlers. The first one on this list, Santana Garrett. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys. When I first heard Santana Garrett has been released, I said, that's odd. I don't remember her working for a WWE. Last time I remember seeing her, she was on Impact, teaming with Jordan Grace. And then I was like, wait a minute, that's Rachel Ellering. Wait a minute, Santana Garrett? Oh, that's Santana Garrett. So I know that sounds very offensive, but I actually got Santana Garrett and Rachel Ellering confused. So I'm like, oh yeah, Santana Garrett. But then I was like, well, they weren't really using her that much. I remember when she first appeared, I don't remember if it was in the first Mae Young Classic or the second. She was in one of the two Mae Young Classics. And I want to say she lost in the very first round. And I thought she was, she was good. She had a nice, stature to her. I felt like she probably could be something that they really wanted to do something with her. And then we didn't see her again for months and months and months. She made appearances here and there. She was one of those NXT people. And this is the big problem with NXT. They have too many goddamn people on the NXT roster. NXT is 1 2-hour show. And they have 30, 40, 50 people signed to developmental deals. To the PC. To the Capital Wrestling Center. Whatever the fuck you want to call NXT. They have 30, 40, 50 people signed. Yet they feature maybe 20 of them each and every single week. 15 of them have that place. Had that cemented spot. 5 or 10 of them are actually main eventers you can guarantee will never get released. But the rest of the 20, 25 of them, they're just buying their time, waiting. They're waiting. People talk all day about, oh, this wrestler's up in WWE, Raw, SmackDown, waiting and catering. What about the other people in NXT right now who aren't getting time? But I don't hear people talking about that. Everybody always wants to talk about, oh, give Liv Morgan a shot. Oh, give this person a shot. What about fucking Blake Christian and everybody else who just got signed? And I don't see them every week at NXT, but that's not a big issue. That's not an issue. It's not an issue that they got signed to their dream company, left the indies, and now it's been several months and they're not doing anything. I go back to Skylar's story, who got released, how many weeks? It couldn't have been that fucking long ago when I heard about Skylar's story, Brandon Lauren getting released, when I didn't ever even see her wrestle on NXT. She got signed early in the year, late last year, and she may have made one appearance on television, and that's it. Then they released her. They're hoarders. They hoard talent. They only keep people so that they don't go anywhere else. That is a monopoly, not a company. It's a monopoly. But back to my point. Santana Garrett is somebody who appeared on television a few times to be in battle royals, to make appearances, to job out to some of the other more important women on the roster. And that was her role. And that is the role of some. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, everybody needs a push, because let's be real here. Not everybody who gets signed to a company is going to be a main eventer. They may deserve it. They may have earned the right to be a main eventer. They might have the talent and the skills and the arsenal and the asset, but they're not going to be a main eventer. Whether it's networking, whether it's the mic skills they don't have, whether it's a few moves they can do, they're just not going to cut it. And when they don't cut it, where are they put? Mid-card, lower mid-card, jobbing now. I'm not calling her a jobber, but I'm just saying she was on TV a few times, and a few times I remember seeing her on TV, she lost every time. I don't remember her getting pushed. Do you guys remember her getting pushed? I don't remember her getting pushed. Then I remember a few weeks ago, maybe a week ago, I saw on Twitter somebody tweeted out, oh, Santana Garrett's out, no mask, hanging out with people with Blue Lives Matter flags and, you know, Trump flags, and she's a Trump supporter. Listen, I am somebody who have my own morals, my own beliefs, my own political, whatever the case may be, okay? Whatever my beliefs may be. As long as Santana Garrett is not harming me or harming anybody else, I don't see why her beliefs should matter. You know what I mean? Like Chris Jericho. I know Chris Jericho is a Donald Trump supporter. Do I like Donald Trump? No. But Chris Jericho is a Donald Trump supporter. Does that really affect how I see Chris Jericho? Maybe a little bit, but it doesn't make me hate Chris Jericho. I can't stand the fact that you said... No, I don't have a personal attachment to Chris Jericho, so that doesn't affect the way that I see him. Now, some other things he may say may affect the way I see him, but his beliefs don't really affect me. So why does Santana Garrett hanging out with Trump supporters and being blue? Why does that affect you? I don't really know. I don't really know, as long as she's not harming anybody once again, or really infringing on anybody once again. But I digress. Santana Garrett was very talented, but I don't know what she could have done for the company, because she obviously had a ceiling. So hearing that she got released, the way I see it, it might have been the best thing for her, because I don't know if they would have ever pushed her to the rate that they push a Raquel Gonzalez, or a Rhea Ripley, or a Charlotte, or a Becky, or a Sasha. I don't know if they would have ever pushed her to that level. So this may have been a blessing in disguise for her. It's never fun to talk about somebody getting fired, but in this case, you know, having that experience on NXT, saying I'm a former NXT wrestler, that might be to her benefit. Maybe she can go somewhere else and make some more money. So sad to see her go, but this could be a good thing for her. Next on this list is Lana. We all know Lana came in through the developmental system of NXT as the manager for Aleister Rusev in 2014. They were on NXT for maybe less than they were not on NXT for very long. Not a very long time. Within the 2014 Royal Rumble, they've made their debut. CJ, Perry, Lana as the manager for Aleister Rusev. And they kept that pairing going for about a good year and a half. And I thought Lana was a really good manager, you know. Rusev Crush, you know, the Russian, you know, what's the term? The Russian, I don't want to say translator, because she was more than a translator. Just a manager, okay? I thought she was a really good one, too. I thought at certain points, she got really, really, really annoying. Like, I don't remember her being like, ah! Like, there was points where, I think it was the latter half of her managing Rusev, where she would be screaming a lot and trying to distract people, and she got absurdly annoying. I don't know who told her that was a good idea, but I didn't like that. Now, towards the latter half of managing Rusev, she got involved in a storyline with Dolph Ziggler, and I think it might have been Summer Rae. Dolph Ziggler and Summer Rae. And I remember this being a very weird storyline, because Lana, she was making out with Dolph Ziggler, and Summer Rae was like, I'm in love with Dolph Ziggler, how could you do that? And then Summer Rae and Rusev were together for a bit. It was a very weird storyline in 2015. I don't know what the hell was going on. So they split apart for a bit. Then eventually they came back together. And then, what was it? Maybe about a year or so later, I think they broke up again, and then they got back together. And then 2017, 2018 came around, and she left Rusev for Bobby Lashley. And I remember this moment in 2018 when she came out, Bobby Lashley, and they were just making out, tongue all up and down and in her throat. It was actually kind of uncomfortable because they were making out for a long time. Rusev just watched on in disgust. And we saw multiple segments, her and Bobby Lashley backstage in the bed, implying they were doing the dirty, all this kind of stuff. Then we had the wedding ceremony, which was just the weirdest thing ever because you had the wedding and then Liv Morgan got involved and she's like, I'm not in love with Bobby Lashley, I'm in love with Lana. And oh, that was so weird too. And then they did the divorce angle, and I don't know what the hell was going on. I have no idea what they were doing with Lana. But that was Lana's role. And then after that, they released Rusev. It was, early or late early mid 2020 they released him. They didn't release Lana though. Lana was still there. So she wasn't managing Bobby anymore. She wasn't managing Rusev anymore. So she had to wrestle. And from the brief run she had in 2017, if y'all remember, in 2017, she was in the Money in the Bank ladder match. She had I think 3 championship opportunities against Naomi, which all those matches were not good because Lana was an atrocious wrestler. So when she broke apart from Rusev and had to go on her own, she was still bad. She was no bueno. Then she started teaming with Naomi, and she was maybe subpar at best, but I think that was mainly because she was with somebody as talented as Naomi who could probably hide her flaws because you're in a tag team. So they're teaming up with each other. They're in WrestleMania. I'm almost certain they were going to win a WrestleMania, but they didn't. Here we are a month later, and she's been released. It's a very, very sad thing because I felt like she was of use to the company in that manager role. She could have been managing somebody else easily. It's not like you had to keep her in that certain, especially considering that there were many, many times where she had a Russian accent, then she had an American accent, then she went back to having a Russian accent, then she had the American accent again. They kept on flip-flopping, so it didn't even matter if she was going to manage somebody who was from a different country or not. She could have. As a wrestler, Lana was not good. As a manager, I thought she was good. So she had a role, but they released her. Here's the thing. They released her husband a year ago. I'm almost certain she probably wasn't happy about that. But now that her husband is signed to AEW, I think it's pretty given that she's probably going to head to AEW to be with her husband. Should she wrestle in AEW? I honestly don't care to see her wrestle in AEW. But to see her managing Rusev, who's on his own right now, that would be a big pickup. That would be a big pickup to have her and Miro together. She'll probably go under the name CJ, I'm sure. I think that's going to work in AEW. But upset to hear about Lana being released. Next on the list is Ruby Riott. Ruby Riott came into NXT in 2016. I would say earlier mid 2016. I remember seeing her. And she had a very different look. Very grunge. All black, some red. Black eyeliner. Black lipstick. Tattoos all over her. She gave me Lita vibes. If Lita was way more darker and edgy. Wasn't quite Daphne from Impact. Wasn't quite Winter from TNA. Wasn't quite Samara from the Grunt. She wasn't that type of dark character. But she dressed grunge and punk. And I'm like, okay, this is different. She definitely looks, it stands out from the rest of the roster on any brand. NXT, Raw, SmackDown, you name it. She definitely stood out and looked different. And she was a good wrestler. But they were never going to give her that shot. I never got the sense they were ever going to push Ruby Riott. And they didn't when she was in NXT. She got caught up with Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan. And it was weird because Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan all were very different gimmicks. Liv Morgan was kind of like the yo. She was, I can't even describe what Liv Morgan's character was. I guess she was like a millennial from New Jersey. I don't know what to describe her gimmick as. But you have Liv Morgan. You had Sarah Logan, who was like this Southern Belle type gimmick. Not Belle, but this Southern gimmick. And then you had Ruby Riott, who was this grunge chick, and they were paired off as the Riott Squad. And it was, I don't know, I think people had to grow into it, because I don't remember too many people who liked the Riott Squad right away. But they grew upon people. People start to like the Riott Squad. And remember, it was the Riott Squad and Absolution. Paige, Mandy Rose, and Sonya Deville. They were the Raw. They were like the two female factions that were called up to Raw. And I think one went to SmackDown later on. I think that was the Riott Squad went to SmackDown later on. But those two factions were called up. It was like a new dose to the women's division that really desperately needed it at that period in time. The Riott Squad never won the Women's Tag Team Championships. Neither member ever won a Raw or SmackDown Women's Championship. They merely were just a faction roster to beat up other babyfaces, impose a threat, maybe win, maybe lose. And that was their role for like 2 years. Then Sarah Logan got released last year during that big influx of releases. So it was just Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan. Now, mind you, after Sarah Logan got released, they broke up. It wasn't like a turn your back, heel turn breakup, but they broke up. And Liv Morgan was getting pushed for a hot second. She never won anything meaningful, but she was getting pushed for a hot second. Ruby Riott, she was off. I think she got injured, took some time off, came back with green hair. Then she got paired back off of Liv Morgan, and they were kind of sort of the Riott Squad, at least 2/3 of the Riott Squad. Then a few months later, released. I can't honestly say I'm too shocked. She did not... Oh my God, how do I say this? Because she was not what WWE most likely would market, they were never going to put her in the top spot. She was never going to be main event WrestleMania. She was never going to be a SmackDown or Raw Women's Champion. She was never going to be any of that because she didn't have the WWE look. In no way, shape, or form am I saying that if I were in, Vince's spot, that I wouldn't push her. I'm saying from watching this company for 2 decades almost, and seeing who have been in that women's championship spot, and seeing who have main event at WrestleMania, somebody like Ruby Riott was never going to exceed or succeed. And it sucks to say that out loud, but that's sadly the company that people like to watch. So to hear that she got released, I can't honestly say I'm too surprised by that. But you know what? They didn't fucking deserve her if that's the case. They didn't fucking deserve her. So, she's going to go to another company, whether it be an AEW, whether it be an Impact, or a Ring of Honor, or back to the Indies, and she's going to thrive like she did when she was Heidi Lovelace. So sad to see her lose her job, but I think this is another blessing in disguise for her. Those are the 3 women. Next on the list is Buddy Murphy. This is another person who I honestly should say that I'm not too surprised by, especially considering that his former tag team partner Wesley Blake was released literally last month in April. I'm not too shocked by this either. But let me go over his career. So 2015, when I was watching NXT every single week without miss, I remember he came in with Wesley Blake when he was Buddy Murphy, and they were like this, I don't know, like this dubstep, in your face, loud team. They were current day MSK. I can basically say they were the MSK of 2015, except people didn't like them because they had no gimmick and there was nothing really special about them. They kind of were just on the NXT roster as a tag team throw in there. Then they got paired off with Alexa Bliss as their manager. Now at the time, I believe Buddy Murphy and Alexa Bliss were in a relationship. I don't know if they got married. I think maybe they were engaged. I know for a fact they're definitely separated now, but I think they may have been engaged or in a relationship. So they were paired off with each other. And Alexa Bliss actually added more to the team. Not by much, but she added more to the team. Very similar to how Julia Hart is now with the Varsity Blondes in AEW. That was kind of Alexa Bliss to Wesley Blake and Buddy Murphy. They ended up winning the NXT Tag Team Championships. I believe, if I'm correct, they beat either the Vol Villains or Sin Cara and Kalisto to win those championships. They held on to it for a good bit. And I'll say once again, when they were the Tag Team Champions, I don't think many people cared about this team. They were heels, and people booed them, but I didn't know too many people on the internet, on Twitter, YouTube, who really could say, oh, that was my favorite tag team. I think a lot of people just liked Alexa Bliss more than they liked the actual tag team. Sometime in 2016, the team separated. Now, by this time, I believe Alexa Bliss was already on the main roster or got called up by this time, but Blake and Murphy separated. Then, about a month, they went on as singles, then they reunited, then they separated again. And it was this very weird period for both Wesley Blake, especially Wesley Blake, who really did not thrive after they split up. Murphy was always the most talented one of the bunch. I'll be honest. I always thought that he was. 2018 came around. WWE was establishing a cruiserweight division. You had either Neville or Enzo Amore as the NXT, not NXT, well, now NXT, but cruiserweight champion when 205 Live was actually active and people were, trying to care about the cruiserweight division. But you had the cruiserweight division, and Buddy Murphy was a part of it. And I remember, this dude was having absolute banger after banger after banger after banger. Mustafa Ali. He's having one with Kalisto. He's having one with Neville at the time. He's having one with Tony Nese. He's having another here with Cedric Alexander. This guy's putting on performances each and every single week that's like, damn, why am I not paying attention to this guy? Because I'll be honest, for a solid 2-3 years, I didn't really pay him any mind until he went off by himself in that cruiserweight division. I'm like, oh, damn, this guy's actually really talented. He reminds me like a little bit about like Coda and Kenny in the way his moveset's set up, but he's really talented. I like him. Then I want to say late 2018 comes around, and he wins the Cruiserweight Championship. And he has this very great moment when they went to Australia or New Zealand. I think it was Australia. And he came out as the Cruiserweight Champion, and the crowd was like cheering him on and this loud ovation. I'm like, damn, this guy could be a star. This guy can be a star. Just listen to that crowd pop. And he was feuding with Mustafa Ali, and they were having great match after great match. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy, he has potential. He has potential. Then I don't remember what happened. I don't know what happened to him, but took time off, or maybe they just stopped pushing him after he lost the Cruiserweight Championship. Then he got paired off with Seth Rollins. And the Authors of Pain, and they were kind of just his goons. And it was very, very interesting because you're like, maybe this is leading to a turn where Buddy Murphy turns on Seth that becomes the breakout of this team or whatever. They run the Raw Tag Team Championships. I can say that much. A bit of a split that happened. I want to say maybe they had 1 or 2 matches that really didn't go anywhere. He had that very, very, very weird storyline where he was in a kind of sort of relationship with Aaliyah Mysterio, Rey Mysterio's 19-year-old daughter, and he was like in his 30s. Big age gap. Doesn't matter to some people. Some people it does matter, but weird nonetheless. Then after that, he was kind of sort of teaming with them, kind of sort of not. Went back to Seth Rollins, and I didn't watch SmackDown, or I can't tell you what the rest happened with him. Now he's released. Wasted potential. Absolute wasted potential was Buddy Murphy. But I'm happy that not happy he got released. I'm happy that he's no longer there. Because I know how much potential he has, he's going to thrive in any place he goes into. Ideally, I would love to see him go to New Japan and be in that Cruiserweight division. Imagine the wars this guy can have with a Sho Tanaka or El Desperado or Hiromu Takahashi. Imagine the goddamn matches he can have if he goes to AEW. And he's with the likes of Pac, Phoenix, Pentagon, Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus, Kenny Omega. I might lose all bodily fluids if he fought Kenny Omega, honestly. But this guy can go anywhere, do anything, and I would follow him because that's how fucking great he was. They, once again, don't know what they lost. That's on WWE. After Buddy Murphy comes one of the more shocking releases, Aleister Black. Aleister Black comes shocking because this guy was gone for several months. And then within the past few weeks, month or so, we're seeing these vignettes. Aleister Black, he's talking about his father, talking about the Dark Prince, all this kind of stuff. Then 1 week ago, he attacked Big E, and it seemed like he was bred to have a feud with Big E. And here we are, 1 week later, and he's been released. It's so confusing because it's like this guy was literally on TV last week, just returned, looked like he was bound for a push, and he's gone. It makes no sense. But let's talk about his career. So Aleister Black came in. The first appearance he made was in the WWE UK tournament, and I believe January of 2017, as Tommy End. He faced off against Neville. Now, I didn't watch that tournament, not going to lie to you guys, so I didn't actually see this match, but I know that's where he made his first appearance. A few months later, and I want to say it was NXT TakeOver Orlando, he made his debut against Andrade Cien Almas. And this guy had a very, very, very eye-catching debut. From the Muay Thai kicks and knees to that finishing move, that roundhouse kick that he called the Black Mass, I knew he was going to be a star. People were already saying, he's the next coming of The Undertaker. He's the next Bray Wyatt. He's the next dark character for WWE. And I was one of those people. Months goes by, he's having great feud after great feud. One of the best feuds, if not the best feud he had, was against the Velveteen Dream. And even though we don't claim Velveteen Dream anymore, it would be a lie if you said that his greatest match in WWE was not against the Velveteen Dream at NXT TakeOver War Games. Or at least that's what I believe was his best match in WWE. Someone might argue maybe his second match against Andrade, or maybe his second match against Kenta. Someone might argue something different. I believe that feud with Velveteen Dream almost personified his run in NXT. After he defeated the Velveteen Dream, he won the NXT Championship from Andrade 1 year after his debut at NXT TakeOver New Orleans. He defeated Andrade to become the NXT champion. He had a nice run as champion. I believe soon after, he lost the championship to... I want to say he lost it to Ciampa? He lost it to Tommaso Ciampa. Then, I'm trying to remember if it was 34 or 35. It may have been 34. So there was a weird period in there where Aleister Black either was the NXT champion or wasn't the NXT champion. I might be getting it mixed up here. But there was a period of time in 2018 where Triple H wanted to shake things up. And we're going to call up some new fresh blood. Maybe not, it wasn't a call up. Because none of these guys, except for Aleister Black and Tommaso Ciampa, actually went to the main roster. But they had they had four guys go to Monday Night Raw for a bit. Aleister Black, Ricochet, Tommaso Ciampa, and Johnny Gargano. And you know what? This was after, I believe, Aleister Black lost the championship to Ciampa. Because I remember specifically, it was Ciampa and Gargano with the NXT North American Championship being reluctant tag team partners. But then you had Ricochet and Aleister Black as tag team partners. And I'm like, this is odd. Aleister Black and Ricochet, they're both great wrestlers, but they have nothing in common. They're absolute polar opposites. How is this going to work exactly? But they were a good enough tag team. Good enough that they stayed on the main roster. They were a tag team. They made their WrestleMania debut. Once again, it may have been 34, 35, but maybe I want to say 35. I'm sorry, I gotta look this up because I'm gonna be kicking myself if I don't get this right. It may have been 35 because I remember he lost the championship to Tommaso Ciampa. Let me go and look at this. Monday Night Raw. It was WrestleMania 35. It was WrestleMania 30. Okay, so that call-up was in 2019 then, because it was WrestleMania 35 when it happened. So, WrestleMania 35 is when a tag team match happens. Next thing you know, he and Ricochet on the main roster apart from each other. No longer a tag team. He's having matches, and there's nothing going for him outside of having matches. He's having a few feuds. Nothing else going for him. 2020, pandemic hits. Money in the Bank. He could win it. He gets thrown off of the ceiling, thrown off of the building of the WWE headquarters in Connecticut. And we don't see Aleister Black for a month or two. Comes back, nothing has changed. Has a few matches, then he's gone. His wife gets released, then we don't see him for months at a time. Then the scenario I told you about where he starts getting teased, he attacks Big E, and then he got released. He won the NXT Championship. That's the biggest claim to his name. That's the biggest claim to his run in WWE was that NXT Championship win, because I don't remember him winning anything else after that. Y'all can correct me if I'm wrong because I didn't watch Raw or SmackDown during the time where he got called up, but I don't remember him winning any championship after the NXT Championship. Another case of WWE's loss. Because Aleister Black, still fairly young. I want to say he's in his mid-30s. He can go anywhere and he'll kill it. Personally, I want to see him in AEW. I would die. I would die for a Aleister Black and Darby Allin tag team. I'm normally not a fan of, let's pair these two guys off together because they have similar gimmicks. I'm not a fan of that concept, but in this case, I'm here for that. They have close enough gimmicks that team would work wonders. Imagine All Out. Aleister Black and Darby Allin versus the Young Bucks for the tag team championships. You want to pair them off with Sting and Darby together as a faction? Do it. Do it. If you don't go to AEW, guess what? He'll do well anywhere else. Sad to see him lose his job, especially after his wife, Selena Vega, was reportedly at the Performance Center just a few weeks ago. We heard these reports. Selena Vega spotted at the Performance Center, possibly signed a new deal. And now her husband has been released? What a fucking scumbag move that was. To bring in the wife, who you released last November, and here we are, you're bringing her back and then you fire her husband? If I'm Selena Vega, I'm hoping to God she did not sign anything from that company. Because if I'm Selena Vega, I'm flipping them off and I'm never coming back to the company ever again. Because they don't respect you and they don't respect your time and they don't respect your significant other either. To both of them. So I hope for their sake, after what they witnessed and after what I saw, that none of those motherfuckers ever go back. But time will tell. Time will tell. That's Aleister Black. Last but not least is Braun Strowman, which was the most shocking of them all. Braun Strowman is somebody who did not come through an independent wrestling circuit. He is one of the very few bred names from the Performance Center. He was scouted out, I want to say by Mark Henry, during a strongman tournament. Got recruited to come into WWE in 2015. He made his debut as a new member of the Wyatt family. Himself, Bray Wyatt, Eric Rowan, Luke Harper, and Braun Strowman as the Black Sheep. And when he came in, this guy was very, very green. Big guy, very strong, a lot of potential, could have wrestled worth a damn. And we knew he had limitations, and that's why I didn't do much with him. 2016 comes around, and Raw and SmackDown having a brand split. And Braun Strowman gets split up from the Wyatt family. He gets new gear. He gets new theme song. His hair is in a ponytail. He's doing the Braun thing. And this guy's being pushed as the biggest powerhouse on the Monday Night Raw roster. And this guy's running. They're giving this guy almost like a Goldberg type push. He's running through everybody. He's beating everybody. And as time goes on, fans are getting behind him. They want to see Braun Strowman get pushed. 1 year later, he's feuding with Roman Reigns. This guy is beating Roman Reigns. Him and Roman Reigns feuded for several months. What is it? 2017 Royal Rumble to like maybe SummerSlam? They feuded for like 8-9 months. They feuded for a long ass time. But guess what? That feud helped him out a lot. Because every time he won and beat Roman Reigns, it made him look stronger. Every time he beat the Big Show, it made him look stronger. Every time he beat Mark Henry, it made him look stronger. They are feeding everybody to Braun Strowman to get this guy over. And it worked. Because by mid-2017, everybody wanted to see Braun Strowman as the Universal Champion. He hopped into a feud with Brock Lesnar, who was Universal Champion at the time. It was what? Not Brave Balls of Fire, because that was against Samoa Joe. It was No Mercy. Everyone's like, this is the time. He's going to beat Brock Lesnar. He's going to be the Universal Champion. But no, he loses. And you're like, well, damn, missed opportunity. But guess what? You know what? He's still hot. He could still do it. I'm confident. SummerSlam. Fatal 4-way match. SummerSlam may have came first, but you guys get the point. Fatal 4-way. He doesn't even have to beat Brock Lesnar to win the Universal Championship. This is his time. He loses. Doesn't get pinned, but he loses. Then, 1 year later, he has another opportunity to face Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship. This is now the third time, but he can win this. It's not too late to get the championship onto Braun Strowman. And he loses again. By this time, I don't care about Braun Strowman anymore, because he's lost the Brock Lesnar 3 times. And by this time, they're not even pushing him that heavy anymore. Late 2019, Super Showdown. This is now the 4th time. Now for the WWE Championship. But now the 4th time he is going to face Brock Lesnar for a main championship. I don't care. And many other wrestling fans don't care about Braun Strowman that much anymore. But we're saying, y'all messed up big time. Maybe by beating Brock Lesnar, he'll regain momentum. He'll get built back up. And he'll be the monster that he once was. And he'll lead this company into a new era. And what the fuck does this company do? He loses for a 4th time to Brock Lesnar. And if you were a Braun Strowman fan and you were heavily invested in him, WWE gave you every fuck in the world. And they said, we're going to flush it all down the toilet. Because why would anybody care 1 iota about a guy who can't win the championship, the biggest championship, and has 4 opportunities against the top guy and hasn't done it not one single time? Who the fuck cares? Who cares? Royal Rumble 2020 comes around. Keith Lee are in the match with Brock Lesnar. He gets eliminated by Brock. That's like the 5th L he's taken to Brock Lesnar. Who cares about Braun Strowman? Pandemic hits. Roman Reigns and Goldberg are the planned match to WrestleMania. What's Braun Strowman going to do? Nobody knows. He's not even booked to be on the show. Roman Reigns, he decides, you know what? Pandemic, not good for my health, not good for my family's health. I'm out. Peace. He dips. Now there's no opponent left for Goldberg. Who does the company choose? Why they choose Braun Strowman to face Goldberg? And who cares? Nobody cares. Literally nobody, because Braun Strowman lost all of his momentum, and nobody probably believes he's actually going to beat Goldberg. I didn't believe he was going to beat Goldberg. WrestleMania comes around, and he beats Goldberg in front of no fans. Wow. Clap, 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 clap. Congratulations. He holds on to the championship for about 2 months, loses it to The Fiend in one of the worst Cinematic matches I've ever seen. Gets a rematch against The Fiend at SummerSlam. He gets attacked by Roman Reigns from behind and loses. Triple threat match. Braun Strowman, The Fiend, and Roman Reigns. Payback. Roman Reigns wins. They have another match. Roman Reigns beats Braun Strowman. Then Braun Strowman gets stripped of his gimmick, is given green, like he looks like he was a deployed militant. Green shirt, camouflage pants, boots, the whole 9 yards. A reject G.I. Bro this guy looked like. A reject G.I. Joe this guy looked like. They gave this guy a fucking choo-choo train track sound effect before every theme song. And I said, this guy's deader than a goddamn corpse. And not the popular corpse. I'm not talking about the e-girls are ruining my life corpse. I'm talking about a real life corpse. He's deader than a goddamn corpse. They kept him around. You're thinking they're going to do something with him at some point. And what was it, last month? He was in a championship match with Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre, and he got pinned. Here we are, 1 month later, he's been released. And I say I'm shocked because Braun Strowman is somebody they invested a lot of time in. Even though they were throwing this guy around like yesterday's lunch in a brown paper bag, they were just throwing him around like they didn't care. They had a lot of investment in him. And they knew they could throw him in there and take an L if they needed to. And if they needed to push him, they could, because the fans would believe it. So, to see this is shocking. But then I go back to last year. This time last year. When Evil Uno put out a tweet telling people to support your local indie wrestlers, indie companies. Because at this time, you know, they're not getting booked. They don't know how they're going to feed their families. Bookings are scarce. A very hearted tweet. And Braun Strowman tweets out, what? Let me find this tweet, because it was some stupid shit that Braun Strowman tweeted out that made many fans dislike him, and I didn't blame a single one of them for not liking Braun Strowman anymore after that point. Let's find this tweet real quick. Braun Strowman says, "Here we go with more of the somebody pay for my bills stuff. If you can't afford to pay your bills, maybe you should change professions. That's why I quit Strongman. I loved it, but I couldn't afford to live. So instead of making a GoFundMe or a Patreon wanting someone else to take care of me, I went out and worked harder than I ever have in my life to get where I am. What happened to being accountable for your own actions?" And for anyone that says, that's easy for you to say, you're a WWE superstar. Just an FYI, 7 years ago, I moved to Florida with everything I owned and a Kia Soul with $150 to my name when I started this. This guy said all this to independent wrestlers during a global pandemic when the only companies that were running were WWE and AEW. And he just so happened to be getting pushed into a main event picture scene against Goldberg. If there were a picture image of tone deaf and ignorant in the dictionary, Braun Strowman's face would be front and center. Tone deaf, disgusting, ignorant was that tweet. 1 year later, he's on the chopping block. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, he's going to struggle in indie scenes. Braun Strowman is a former a former Universal Champion, former WrestleMania co-main eventer, main evented several shows, beaten several big names. He is not going to struggle to find work. He will not struggle. Somebody's going to book him. Will a lot of indie wrestlers like him? No. Will a lot of bookers like him? No. But a lot of bookers don't give a fuck about your opinion, what you think, what you've done, who you fuck. They don't care. They just want to book you so that way their company blows up. They get traction. Those bookers don't care about what you say or what you've done. They're going to book him. And if indie wrestlers aren't going to get, if indie promoters aren't going to get to him because they can't afford him because he's going to charge them top dollar, guess what? Someone like Impact, a Ring of Honor, or Tony Khan is going to try. Braun Strowman is not going to struggle to find work. But it is very ironic to see him in this spot right now. So do I feel all too bad that he's been released? Not really. It's never funny to see someone get released. And I'm not saying this is a funny situation. But damn, is it very ironic that he's here? He will find work again. But those are the 6 people released by WWE today. I don't know what else to say. I really don't know what else to say about any of this or this company. There's not much else to say. I don't know what else you could possibly call this company. If you still support WWE, I don't know what to say to you. I really don't. You're I don't know. That was Chills Podcast episode 50. I'm about to head up out of here. I love you guys as always. I will see you all next week for episode 51. Peace out, guys.